Happy New Year and welcome to the 36th episode of the Undermind podcast. Our guests today are Antiga. Hey Antiga, long time no see.
Hello folks.
And Johan De Jong, aka BananaBrain. Hi and welcome back as well.
Hi, good to be back.
And the first topic, as usual, what you've been up to, and I think this will be a little bit longer since I've been on vacation. There has been holidays and all of that, and we have much to discuss. So, would you care to start, Johan? What you've been doing during the last 1 month, I think, at least.
Well, at least enjoying the holidays and the hangover after New Year. But during that time I also got some work done on my bot. Or well, I should say 2 bots, because well, in some sense it's one, but it can play 2 races now. So I actually worked on both of them. First, of course now BananaBrain, the Protoss bot, and it finally got a feature that I was planning for a long time, and it can finally do a shuttle reaver micro. Yes, it's quite common in Protoss land, but finally I got to add the skill to BananaBrain. And Krona, well, you could almost ask what did not change, because I changed out a lot of the openings of strategies. I changed the economy of Krona, and I hope it will get a better rank on Basel. But I can't upload it right now because I have to wait until the end of the SSCAIT tournament. But at that moment, I will show everybody how it plays after this.
And how hard was it to implement the shuttle reaver micro?
Actually, it was surprisingly easy. I would have expected it to be more difficult. I think it took only 1 day. But maybe this is also because of, as well, BananaBrain / Krona already has a lot of infrastructure necessary to build these kind of things. It already supports shuttles. It already can keep track of what a shuttle is doing. And I only had to add some logic to to associate with the reaver, follow the reaver, and pick it up at the right moment. And well, it was surprisingly easy.
Yeah, and I remember when we were doing the coding stream that you had a lot of components written out in your bot, and it is quite readily extensible, if that's a proper sentence, and adding new feature is a little bit easier because you have solved many common problems and structured it in a extensible way.
Yeah, that's right. Also, I noticed that, well, sometimes I expect something to be easy and it turns out to be hard, because the combat simulation of BananaBrain is still at a very basic level. And by basic level, I mean it just compares supply accounts, and it does not really do any real combat simulation. So I thought I would plug in fast approximation, and well, I managed to do that, but after that, the win rate of my bot plummeted, and it actually got 0% wins against Locutus. So yeah, well, I'm still looking into that, why it does not work, because when I look at the games, I cannot directly see what is the problem.
But still, your bot is on 5th place right now on the ladder. It's I'm looking at the Ssci Tournament.com ratings, and it's 82% win rate, quite well. By the way, this Shuttle River Micro, is this in the version you submitted to the tournament?
No, I did it during the holidays, which is right after the deadline. I simply did not have the time to do it before, and I also did not expect it to be this easy, and I thought it would take more time and also more time for testing. So I decided not to put it in.
Yeah, makes sense. And with that, Antiga, same question to you. What you've been up to? I think you've been a little bit away from the spotlight, so to speak, lately. Or is it just my impression?
Yeah, I've been busy. So, with stuff sort of related. But at any rate, so helped a little bit with Purple Wave's prep for the tournament. Though Dan didn't really have a lot of time to put in, so there wasn't a lot of hours put there. But generally, I've been on a machine learning AI deep dive, just trying to touch different aspects of it and learn more. So I've done some neural image transfer stuff. Been doing some playing around with AI Programmer, which is a really interesting piece of software by Corey Becker, which basically it's an AI writing software, which is a really interesting sort of brain thing. Learning a little bit about what on earth a blading and annealing are, and other terms like that in the machine learning space, as I try and get some of those thoughts together of what I want to do going forward with StarCraft. So, where that's all going to go with machine learning and AI. So,
is this related to the Neuralink thing that they've been building, like the human AI interface, or did I human brain and artificial intelligence interface, or did I am I confusing it with something else?
You're confusing it with something else.
Okay,
that's an open AI, or it's actually Neuralink, one of Elon Musk's companies. The stuff I've been looking at is more like theory of AI and AI is developing their own software,
okay.
which is a little different sort of thing. Giving machine learning algorithms direct memory access with a genetic algorithm is very interesting. You get some very strange effects on your computer. Playing music while playing sounds weirdly, screen artifacts, memory corruption, machines crashing. It's great fun.
So basically everything from an 80s movie when a ghost just haunts your computer.
Yeah, maybe minus the neon, but pretty close.
Come on, bring back the neon. So yeah, other than that, feel free to speak about your personal journey or stuff if you want to. I mean, we are mainly about Broodwar AI, but everything that happens to the community and community members is well within these bounds.
I think there's been quite a dependence on the giant, what I call if bots in Broodwar, and there's only really a few that are doing some real machine learning stuff. And I've been wanting to kind of push some of that forward, especially now that TorchUp exists. This tournament that's going to happen here on the end of January for this mission deadline, where you have a machine that has a huge amount of GPU power that's available, and actually the individual processing cores are quite slow in terms of speed. We were doing some math and guesses earlier that the individual core or clock speed is going to be like 8% slower than SSCAIT and like 34% or something like that slower than Basel for individual core speed. But you have this amazing GPU resource sitting there, and you have a ton of cores, and almost nobody is thinking in parallel, in parallelization, or using more than one core for their bot, and even fewer are looking at how to leverage GPUs. So I'm trying to expand my knowledge in those areas so I can apply them.
That's definitely the next step. I mean, SSCAIT tournament is a good staging ground, but I think we are at the point when there should be a next step, and TorchUp is something in that direction. Because yeah, as you said, not many bots utilize machine learning to its full extent. And given the background and beginnings of the SSCAIT tournament, that is perfectly understandable, but maybe it's time to level up.
Yeah, really, you've got, of course, the Facebook work crew and the work data on Cherry Pie. SATA uses it in a very limited capacity, and there's a couple others, but hasn't been explored as much as it should have been, as it needs to be.
Yeah, indeed, and I don't think we lack the capability to write such bots. I mean, I can't speak for the community members, but I'm more than how do I say this properly? I'm fairly convinced that many members are quite experts in this field.
And I think, obviously the amount of time that it takes to train a bot from scratch is just insane. You're talking millions in computing time and resources and engineering time. But I think there's quite a bit of opportunity in using machine learning approaches or genetic algorithms or whatever to optimize the magic number portions of bots as far as they concern, like combat simulators and placement and terrain and things like this that are a little more tunable. And most bots have this problem where ultimately the combat systems of many bots end up in a giant table of magic numbers that you're just kind of guessing for tuning.
But the next topic is, while I figure out how to unstuck it without annoying the viewer to oblivion, the next topic is the SSCAIT tournament, and it is still ongoing. I mean, the actual yearly tournament, and not the persistent ladder, and we are at the round robin stage. Let me take a look at the home, and we are at 1,469 games out of 1980, so almost 2,000, 75% on the way. And we've seen some interesting games. I must admit I'm a little bit catching up on the everything, but I don't know what are your thoughts on that, and do you see any kind of surprising plays or anything that you didn't expect?
I've seen a bunch of stuff. I think, to me, perhaps the most interesting is that Locutus is going in base forge lots of cannons into mystery tech option a lot, and that's pretty unusual as far as an approach goes. But it's very interesting because by just going cannons, you deny any type of scouting, really, and so your opponent has to guess, and he has a whole string of things that he can do behind that. He can go like a normal in-base 4-gate goon, he can go DTs, he can go proxy, triple gate, zealot, or goon, or DT, or he has this whole list of cheese that is selectable behind that sort of opening. And I had kind of thought that we were past the ability of something like that to be as successful as this seems to be, but it's like playing this sort of build order opening like 90% of the time. It's crazy and interesting to watch. I'm sure you've seen some of these too with your bot, with BananaBrain. What do you think of those games?
Well, I actually did not see the games, not a lot of games, that is. But I noticed that, let me take a look. Apparently, I played 1-1 against Locutus, which was kind of what I would expected. But yeah, to be honest, I still have to look into the new strategies of Locutus. I don't know if he actually changed something majorly since the last release that I tested against.
He did. So, for instance, Purple Wave on Basil versus the last update that the Clutus put up is 7-0. And versus the one that's up right now, let's see here. Purple Wave, well, it lost one game, but he definitely made it, and the strategies that he's doing behind that one base cannon opener are very different. So he did majorly change his planning for the tournament, which is very interesting.
Yeah, even in human world, we still come up with new Brood War strategies all the time, and in bot versus bot world, they are just there are thousands of them, and they are not all of them are implemented. So we have room to grow here. Unfortunately, there are no cross tables on the SSCAIT tournament page. That would be quite useful right now.
I've got
There's a
one.
cross table.
Yeah, Microwave did one.
Where can we see that? Thank you. I will post it into the chat and subsequently the article about this. And yeah, I will take a look in a moment.
I think the people that would be most improved, Proxy has some pretty serious improvements. How Pan is doing exceptionally well. Of course, the Locutus, Purple Wave, Beta Star, BananaBrain, that sort of old Protoss club. I think everybody in that group showed up with something interesting and different. I think that it's pretty telling that Thomas Vaja is out for the first time this year, or at least it seems very likely. And also that Ice Lab, this will be the third year in a row that old Ice Lab Leadabot didn't qualify, which was once a tournament-winning bot not too long ago. So it shows sort of a period of progress going forward as bots have improved and become more competitive over time.
Ximp and Ice Lab are the two of the old guard, which I think defeating them is kind of a trial by fire, because despite they are not being updated for years now, Ice Lab is 2013 and Thomas Vaja is 2015, last updated. They're still quite a good benchmark if you want to test your bot.
Yeah, they really are. They're sort of Thomas Vaja has sort of been the gatekeeper kind of to the upper tier, because dealing with mass carriers is not as easy as it sounds.
Yeah, does one thing and does it very well. And I'd like to say that Hopen I like how he advanced steadily through the ladder. I mean, during the last year, I saw him placing higher and higher consistently. So it seems that Hopen is having an iterative approach and it is working.
Yep, lots of little updates. I think that Hopen has excellent matches versus most of the lower bots and doesn't do very good versus that very top tier Protosses. It still struggles with that, but it's Dan said something kind of fun the other day where he said that Halpen is a seal clubbing machine, which is kind of an apt analogy for Halpen's effect on the ladder.
I like that image. And the other surprise is Beta Star, which we don't know much of. All I know it is by a team from a Chinese university, and as far as I know, there has been no contact with that team so far. I would really love to interview them or just talk to them a bit.
There is more information out there available, but I don't know it off the top of my head. I'd have to go dig through my notes on the bots.
I have some. I mean, you can look it up, but it's seemed last when I viewed it, it seems superficial, just the names of the authors and the university, and it uses this and that general concept. But my memory could be faulty here.
Yeah, it's a Locutus fork prior to his licensing change. So it's a Locutus fork base that's at least at this point over 2 years old from the current version, and has diverged, of course, in that time period quite a bit. Though it didn't have an update pre-tournament.
Lot of Locutus forks, and I think we might have to think about this forking issue a little bit more in depth. Well, we've been doing that, but yeah, just forking Locutus gets you in the top of the ladder very easily.
It's the only one playing that's a fork of Locutus, and it's a 2-year-old variant with pretty significant changes. So I think that's a positive move compared to how some of the previous tournaments were kind of attacked by them prior to the licensing changes. But I don't think it's really too serious of a concern going forward.
I'm not saying it's a serious concern, but we have to keep it in mind. Yeah, that was bad when there were very shallow forks, but yeah, thankfully we are over that now, and I think the quality of games that we are seeing is it seems to me it's increasing a little bit. A lot more bots are more stable and producing more quality plays. I can't put it in any other way, but maybe that's just a subjective thing because I cast games.
Yeah, the quality gets slowly better every year. It's just sort of a slow prod forward. I am a little disappointed that we didn't have any real new student submissions this year, which means there weren't universities doing projects in combination, which is always something that I've enjoyed seeing over the years, but we didn't really have that this season.
Dan has some comments that Beatus Star and ZNZZ are Locutus forks, and they have a very similar PVZ play in that is of Locutus, but other than that, it maybe the differences are more noticeable. I don't know if these bots are open source themselves. I didn't look that up, but in the Ssci Tournament, the organizers can verify that, I guess. I mean, not being open source, but they can check the source. Alright, so looking back on the table, another thing I like to see is Dragon, because TSCMU has been kind of away or not very active in the community for a while, but then submitted an awesome bot, and that is good to see. I like good old boys returning and contributing.
He didn't actually update his submission prior to the tournament. It's still the old one from May. But Dragon has exceptional internal systems and does really well versus some of the upper tier bots, especially if they make mistakes. Its micro and control is exceptional, being a cherry pie base. Unfortunately, on ladder, it has a pretty high crash rate, and its performance versus the entire field being a one build wonderbot is kind of rough. But it does have an exceptional ability, for instance, in the final bracket, to kill top bots and get a pretty decent position out of that. As it has winning matchups versus Beta Star and Halpan, and does pretty decent versus Purple Wave sometimes. It'd be interesting to see how that turns out. The final runoff bracket of the top 16 will be interesting.
Also, what the hell is up with McRave? He is literally last place.
Oh, he had a last minute bug where he didn't disable a debugger for his combat sim or something, and his bot is literally incapable of attacking in any form. It never leaves its space. So it's just a oops on not disabling a debugger, an internal tool, prior to submittal.
I think we have a term for this type of bugs prior to tournament submission. Can you think of how is it called? I believe the technical term is pulling a McRave.
Yeah, I try and be really nice to him, but it does happen. With unfortunate regularity, it's just, yeah. It sounds like after the tournament, he's going to upload of course, the one with the debugger set correctly, and it does seem like he's kind of taking a break from Brood War development. He didn't do any prep, and he's involved in some Unreal Engine experimental stuff at the current time.
But it's like at least the third time that he did this.
Yeah, I'm trying not to make him feel too bad.
Well, I don't have such good intentions anymore. Although I feel bad for him too, because yeah, I would have loved to see McRave's performance, but we will see it after the tournament. And speaking of the tournament, another sad news that we have to talk about is Nepeta retiring from casting the SSCAIT games. I think he's been doing it since the beginning, and yeah, first of all, thanks Nepeta for all the years of good work and entertaining casts, and we will miss you dearly.
Yeah, he's done such a good job over the years. It's always like fun hearing his voice on stream doing stuff. It sounds like KnitCat has some interest in at least helping with some of the streams.
Oh yeah, and yeah, I'm doing them every 2 weeks, but I don't want to step up in this role, as I always viewed myself as supporting the SSCI tournament and not like owning it. I consider Nepeta a better caster than me, and there is no shame in that. And yeah, I hope there will be someone who fills his role. And also don't hesitate to apply. We can have more than 2 casters even, although that's not up to me. It is a great opportunity to try yourself out in a casting role. I've been thinking about this a little bit, and I think Nepeta did a lot of stuff, and maybe the appreciation for that just weren't there. And I feel it is hard sometimes to motivate prominent community members, and maybe it has nothing to do with this, but maybe he just he felt a little bit that he is not getting the recognition that he might deserve. Again, these are just speculation, and this is my feeling a little bit.
It's hard being a volunteer for something that takes a lot of time and continues for not just a few weeks or a few days, but years. And that's hard. And you should never fault people from stepping down from a volunteer-based position. That's, just a big thanks for the stuff that they did do while they were doing it.
Absolutely not. I'm not saying, and I'm saying that no one should dare blame him for stepping down. Yeah, based on the compensation package he was receiving, which was basically a big hug, maybe. It is. We owe him nothing but thanks. So, but with that said note, I hope someone else will emerge and take his place. Maybe Nightcat. Yeah, and then just wrote that 50 casts a year for 4 years. That is at least 400 hours of work. And I don't know Nepeta's recording method. He seems to record everything in one go. I personally can't do that. I sometimes re-record some matches because I just garble my words and I record one match at a time. And that takes more than an hour, more than the finished product. I think between 1.5 and 2 times the finals recordings time. So yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot of work and an incredible commitment.
But he will still be doing the finals of the tournament, I believe. Is that correct?
Yes. He will be retiring after that, and I hope he will return one day.
Okay, but well, he really told me not to break my Ssci Storm, because in the earlier phase of BananaBrain I did that. He was like yelling storm, but there was no storm because I broke it. So I never dared to break the storm in my bot again after that.
Yeah, there was this meme that find a girl who looks at you like Nepeta looks at storms. So, yeah. And we have a late joiner yet again, Hannes Bredberg. Hi, Hannes.
Hi, I'm sorry.
You have no excuse this time.
No, I really don't.
And I'm beeping again. I don't know what's up with my keyboard. I will edit that out in the final version. And Hannes, since you are just arrived, same question to you. What you've been up to in the past 1.5 months? Did you do anything SSCAIT related in that time?
Well, yes, I did fix a BW API bug with related to latency compensation, but nothing aside that.
I've been hearing about you writing your own OS. Would you care to speak about that?
Oh, I don't know. It's just a thing that I do because, well, I don't like what's currently out there because I think they're doing it wrong. So, yeah.
How did you come up with the idea of getting up in the morning and I will write my own operating system?
I don't know. It's mainly about that I think that most operating systems are currently made out of the perspective of the user and not programs. And I may be crazy, but I'm trying to make a operating system that pretty much only can run programs very well and doesn't do much else.
That is quite interesting. So, what was that BW API bug that you mentioned?
It was related to latency compensation, and like when you right-click a worker to gather resources, it takes 3 frames, or rather the number of remaining latency frames plus 1, and I thought there wasn't that plus 1 there. So without the plus 1, it ended up with the worker looking like it went to gather, then it stopped for a frame, and then it went back to gathering.
So just a quick recap. We talked about mostly the SSCAIT tournament, torch up a little bit, and I think another. So feel free to add anything to these topics if you wish. And I think the next topic should be logically the Aisd tournament because that's the next one after torch up. And Antiga, I think you're the best man to talk about that.
Yeah, I can. I'd like to just talk about Torch Up too, though. Just recommend that people submit. I think that what's their submission deadline? I gotta go through the page here. Is it? I think it's 27th of January.
So rather tight. We have less than a month, like 3 weeks to submit.
Not long, and it has GPU support and some really other interesting portions that are nice about it. It's at the FOSDM. It's in combination with like a big event on February 1st and 2nd in Brussels, Belgium. So if you are in that area of the world, you might get to meet some StarCrafty people there. I think it's in, is it the ULB? I can't pronounce stuff in Europe at all. So is it Solbosch? ULB Solbosch campus? I don't know. And I can't pronounce the name of the university, just call it ULB.
Wait a second, isn't that the same place where Torch Up will take place?
Yeah.
So we have two tournaments at the same time, or?
No, just the results get presented there.
Oh, okay.
So,
okay.
so it's
Actually, I myself planning to go there, and John Chassul, the organizer of Torch Up, said that I should cast games, so I might just do that there. So yeah, that seems to be the place to meet up. How about you, Hannes and Johan? Johan, you're quite nearby, if I'm not very much mistaken.
Sorry, what was the question?
Do you plan to attend the FOSDEM conference in Brussels?
No, I have no plans to take on any conferences. I will be taking part in the tournaments, both of them, the Torch Up and Aisd. At least I expect that. But, well, no, I don't have any plans for conferences.
Okay, let me rephrase that. Do you plan to have a few beers with us that happen to be at the place in Brussels? I'm trying to work with your guess your motivations to going to places.
Sanko just rephrase his questions until he gets what he wants. So you can feel free to ignore him.
No, don't ignore me ever. So yes, everyone is welcome there. It's an open event, and I would love to see many StarCraft people from the internet there. How about you, Hannes?
Yeah, I would like seeing people there, but I'm not going myself, so maybe that's a little bit horrible by me. I don't know. I'm not really a conference person, to be honest.
Let's understand. I wouldn't go if there were not the StarCraft tournament either.
All right, so I can talk a little bit about AIST. I still need to put some of this together, but so registration opens on February 1st and runs through February 15th. The bot submission deadline is February 28th. Tournament will start around the 1st of March. I do have a sponsored prize for the winner, which is pretty sweet. I should have gotten that out prior to this cast, but at any rate, what it is I have an autonomous drone kit, which is basically includes everything that you need to make a flying drone that can fly autonomously, and all you need is your laptop. That's it to plug into it. So it comes with the radio communications equipment, the batteries, the battery chargers, the drone itself, the Pixel. It uses PixHawk controller. It's basically the computer, the brains of the operation. It comes with the GPS system and a bunch of other stuff. It's worth about $500 as the whole thing. And that will be the first place prize for AIST Season 3. I don't know what second, third prize will be yet, but I'll probably have something. But I do have a first place prize available for the tournament.
Okay, nice.
That is very cool. And
I'll take a bunch of pictures of all the stuff. I just got it, so I'll lay it all out on a table, and it's like 300 parts. Obviously it's one of these big assembly project sorts of things. So, and I'll just take a picture of every little piece that's involved in this. And there's no manual that's associated with this, but this is like a professional level, like autonomous drone training kit that would be given to a university or something like that, is what this is.
may I ask, how did you come to have a sponsor, and how did that happen? Or you don't want?
Not many people know, but actually my family owns a drone business, which I've since moved on, and I do other work outside of that now. But I was ordering a bunch of parts for a project for them, and they were looking to sponsor like a university project or something, and not my family's business, but the parts supplier, and they had these kits available, and they sent one of them to me. So that's how I got it.
Awesome. I'm looking forward to the winner. And what will be the map pool and the tournament format?
All right, so the map pool is available on the AIST Season 3 website. But basically, it's a replica. It's the same pool as this fall's StarCraft Remastered ladder. So AIST tries to emulate the professional pool to as much as possible. So normally we use the previous season's professional ladder, but there were some weird things with what was going on with the professional pool at the time, and so we're just using the worldwide ladder pool, which is very good. There's one map dropped out of it because you can't load it in 1.16, but other than that, it's the rest of the pool that's identical. It's a playoff style tournament. It's not one of these, kind of by odds sorts of tournaments. You literally have to take everyone else out. So it's a playoff style setup, and it uses the Docker container and tournament controller software from Bazel. So the environment is exactly identical to Bazel if you use that for testing.
Sounds great. Alright, speaking of tournaments, lastly, I'd like to share you some news about the SCHNAIL, the StarCraft Human and AI League, which I've been working on. My plan is to have a closed beta in January, and I'm very close to it. Currently, we have a working version, but it works from the SSCAIT server, and that is one of the main reasons that I didn't make it public. For the uninitiated, this is a client that lets you play against bots without setting up anything. You just press play and you get thrown into the game. Previously there has been a drop launcher, it worked, but setting it up was a pain in the butt. So the client works. Now I'm working on the server part of it and looking for a dedicated server to rent. And when I set everything up and there is authentication, bot upload and such necessary things in place, then there will be a closed beta. Closed because I think, unfortunately, if you put something on the internet for the public to use, it has to be, it is expected to be polished and like a readily available product. It doesn't matter if I say that this is a development version, a beta or anything, people will mercilessly criticize and move on. So I'd like to avoid that, and at this phase, only a select few people have access to the client, and they are so it's kind of confidential, and they are reporting bugs diligently. I can't expect that from everyone, therefore it is not public. Also the server infrastructure thing. The second round will be the closed beta, where the regulations, so to speak, will be a little bit more lax. So you can, it's still invite only. I will select, or well, the dev team will select the people who can join, but a little bit more open-ended. And other than that, I've been in talks with some people about streams of SCHNAIL. You might have seen the stream with Zero. I think it went very well. Zero is a pro gamer and the organizer of Bombastic Star League, or BSL, and he hosted a 3-hour stream where he played against bots. He won almost every match, but then again, he's a programmer and he actively needed to focus to win those matches, so they were not a cakewalk. With the beta, yeah, so streaming, there is another stream in the works with a well-known well-known streamer, but I'm not revealing any names because you will know about it when it happens. So that's it. I don't know if you have any questions regarding the project. It is hard for me to talk about it in a podcast because, yeah, I could go on and on, but I don't know what is interesting for the audience.
Well, I do have a question, because as a bot developer, I would like to know if if I am playing a human or another bot. So is there a way to detect this? To detect if you're running from SCHNAIL or somewhere else?
Yes, there is. There is an environment file that says that basically it's called SCHNAIL.env or something like that, which says that yes, you are on the SCHNAIL environment. That means that you are playing a human. Also, you could just upload a human-specific version to the SCHNAIL ladder, because there will be no bot versus bot matches in that ladder.
Okay, I have another question, because if I want, before SCHNAIL goes live to the public, if I want to test if my bot works properly on it, is there a way? Do I need to participate in beta, or is there another way to do this?
Currently, I'm downloading the bots from the SSCAIT server, and the environment is pretty much the same. That's actually a good point. There are very few bots that do not work currently under the SCHNAIL environment. I think they are mostly older bots. BananaBrain works perfectly. I think I will keep a list and try to notify the bot authors, but after the launch, you will get an interface to upload your bot to SCHNAIL, and there will be a test pipeline, and you get a notification if your bot fails to work. That unfortunately, that's a little bit hard to detect if your bot works as intended. Like, is it actually building the buildings you want it to? But we are getting there.
Okay. Then I have yet another question, also from a bot developer's position. It is possible to store files, like learning files. And my question is, does that work on SCHNAIL?
Yes, absolutely. You have your own own folder, just like in SSCAIT, and there will be an option to download those files.
Okay. Is there also a way to detect if different people are playing on the same computer? I'm going to guess it's not, but I'm going to ask it anyway.
Actually, I haven't thought about that. There will be a user management part of the whole SCHNAIL stuff, and users have GUIDs, but in the game you just see their usernames. So I don't think you can differentiate between them from a end user perspective. I think this might be. I don't know. I have to think about this. Currently, there is no way you just see, like when you enter a StarCraft match, you just see the enemy's username.
That would definitely be something you could put in the SCHNAIL.env file.
SCHNAIL.env is just one file that. Oh wait, no, you're right. We can probably accommodate that. So yeah, I will put this on the list, and I think we will make it happen.
Do you have any idea when SCHNAIL will be available to the general public?
Well, all I can say is as soon as possible. I think the closed beta will start like very soon, in a few weeks, then 1 or 2 months, and I plan to enter open beta. I'm working as much as I can on this, and currently I don't have other obligations, or not many. Trying to do it in a few months, like 2 or 3 months until open beta. Yeah.
And I believe it will be Windows only.
Yes, currently we can only support that. I don't.
Yeah, because the game basically only runs on Windows. Pretty much.
Yes, okay, but it does not run in a container or anything like a Docker container or whatever. It just runs natively, I assume.
Yes, it's basically a Windows desktop application. Looks and behaves like any game launcher you see nowadays.
Okay, and I know I will also be able to enjoy it in different languages, such as Dutch.
Yes. Actually, we have, let me pull up the list, but we have quite a few languages translated already. And where is my list? Sorry for the beeping. I don't know why my keys are sticky. So currently it's Chinese, German, Spanish, Dutch, and Swedish. And Hungarian, the available translations. And of course, I'm accepting community input in this. The only it's like one page of text, and there will be only like in the final version I expect to have like 3 pages of text, so it's like a half an hour work to translate it into your local language. So I think this part can be done on a volunteer basis, and I'm accepting any kind of help in that regard. Oh yeah, a Korean translation is also in the works. It is not done yet, but I have someone for this.
Okay, I'm looking forward to the release of SCHNAIL. So I finally have no excuse to try to play against the bots myself, because then it becomes so easy that I have to try it.
Yes, indeed. And yeah, Impy just said, what about Deus Vult? Yes, one of my Patreon pledges is if I reach a certain number of supporters, I will make a Deus Vult edition of the SCHNAIL, which will be a Latin translation with a custom cover image.
Okay, well, I certainly hope that my 30 APM is enough to beat the boss. Can you comment on that, Antiga?
I would say that with 30, you're going to struggle. The good ones, even your own bot would probably cause you a lot of trouble. So good luck. I actually, most of the sort of top echelon of developers, they can't beat their own bots. So.
Then just said there should be Targaryen, but he is uneducated in this matter. It's actually Valyrian, which is the proper language. So go read the Game of Thrones books. That's your homework. But all right. About drop launcher, yes, Dan is right, it is easy for technical folks, but for non-technical folks it is hard, and the target audience, no, Dan, I didn't say Targaryen, I said Valyrian, so that's a difference, there is a difference. So SCHNAIL is mostly aimed at non-technical folks, your average gamer, because I think the average gamer has a lower technical skill. Sorry, I'm just laughing at the chat. So yes, it's still. I did not say the wrong thing. You wrote the wrong thing. Then it is not Targaryen. That's the name of the house. Valyrian is the language you're referring to. All right, let's get back to being at least somewhat serious. With SCHNAIL, the closing thought is the feature creep is very real. For example, we had a request or ask that, oh, can you just add a functionality for observing the game? And well, we can.
No, that's hard.
Yeah, like there's a lot of code that would go into that. It is technically possible, but I don't think this is the right thing for that.
Yeah. Cut off. Stop the feature creep. Stop the feature creep. Release the product.
Yes, yes, that's the goal.
Feature creep is for version 1.0, not version 0.004.
2 actually.
Yeah, it is very much like there is one or two like larger features that are not implemented, and after that no more until release. I am painfully aware of that. But yeah, time is short and code is long. Moving on to the next topic, I'd like to give a sort of a shout out to other communities as well, because I think we are, well, as any community, living in kind of a bubble, and there are a lot of other communities we should maybe have a little bit more overlap / cooperation with. The obvious one being the Ssci community, and I've been contacted by one of the members about the AIArena.net, or is it com, I don't know, which is SC2 ladder. I thought I will just mention that. Don't worry, the Undermind will remain Brood War AI podcast for the foreseeable future. Yeah, it's AI-arena.net. So if you are interested in SC2, then check it out. And yes, I've been looking at some SC2 stuff. There are value to be had there. And the other community I had some contact with is the modding community, which is still something that exists. I thought it basically died out a few years ago, but apparently people still make custom maps and campaigns for Brood War. And these people have in-depth knowledge about some of the game parts. For example, I tried to decipher the iScript files of the game, and the modding community had some good helping resources for me. So yeah, there is a place that you can go to. And in the chat, Impi said that you should probably add difficulties to bots. I kind of have a plan for that. The bots will have a rating, and you can just look that up, and you can choose your enemy. But that's not really a priority, and I need to think about it, because if you just display the rating, it is kind of easy to game the system with bots.
Also, something which could be possible, I guess, is adding of course, for later. We don't want to do this right now, but maybe bots could add their own settings in the launcher. Like, maybe you could like force it to choose one of the bills instead of, or some kind of setting override instead of them deciding it by themselves.
Yeah, another long-term plan is to be able to play against a specific bot using a specific build on etc. But that is not that is after release. So with rating, the following is the problem. We only have bot versus bot scores. These are not the same that you have against humans. You can take that as a baseline, but well, it might or might not be correct. And if you do that, then to evaluate, if you don't do that, to evaluate the bots, you have to assign some kind of score to the humans as well. But if you assign, but how do you do that if you only have a bot versus human plays? So it's kind of a chicken and egg problem.
Jan brought up a good point in the chat. I'm not sure that it matters that the scores are super precise, just so that humans have an idea of roughly kind of how difficult the different ones are, from pretty easy to really hard. It's probably plenty fine. Even if the scores are really rough, that's okay.
Yeah, in principle, I agree, but any kind of system you put out for the public, they will try to game it. That's my approach. So I've been thinking about this. I actually wrote a little bit of article about that, and I'm trying to find my exact words here. But the point is, I think ELO is a good rating system in itself. And you could just have an ELO rating for humans and bots as well. But the problem is you can game that system by seal clubbing, playing the weaker bots over and over again, boosting your rating, then beating a top bot. So that's not really good. So I think it should work in a following fashion. If you're playing a game for ratings, then it should be against a random bot. So you can't that easily game the system. And humans should have an ELO rating as well, although I'm not sure I would display that in the UI. If you don't see your ELO score, then there is less incentive to game it.
I think there's not much reason to reinvent the wheel. Just use like SC Remastered or replica of their system or IC Cups, and don't worry about it, because people are familiar with that anyway. If the bot has an ELO score or like a letter rating, A through D or whatever, and the humans do too, that's just plenty common. I do think that generally when humans get more experience playing bots, if you really want to do an honest ladder, you'll want an environment where there's a form of matchmaking. So the best humans, that really they when they join like the queue or whatever, it puts them against a better bot, and they can't just seal club the lower ones for points that don't count. So, or it might just show them the number of points that they get for win, number of points that they get for a loss, just like it would with ELO with the different bots based on the bot's rating or something.
Anyway, it is a concern for the future. We definitely don't need this to launch.
No, you don't even need to have any kind of rating system for launch, other than, you know, if you want to see the if you want to see how good the bots are compared to each other, here, click this link and it takes you, you look at Basil. That's good. Don't need anything else.
Oh yeah, I will definitely add some kind of info pages to tie into the community, to links that, if you, by the way, if you want to learn more about the bots, then just go here.
For people who are listening that might be interested, I would say that a bot that is strong versus other bots systems don't necessarily tie up on how strong they are against other people. A bot like Andrew Smith is surprisingly well balanced versus humans, even though its Basil rating may not reflect that. And a bot like Thomas Vaja may have a surprisingly high rating and be surprisingly weak versus humans. It is interesting. And I wouldn't necessarily take them as crossovers, but they are. The bot ratings do generally reflect, of course, an increase in ability, but we really sit down and play the individual ones and start to realize that some of the bots that are ranked 20 places down in bot world are really kind of in that upper tier, and ones that are rated in that upper tier maybe don't belong there versus humans. So yeah, you'll see that sort of stuff.
Oh yeah. Well, can't really add anything else to that topic. I will post updates as I always did, and I hope to launch really soon. Actually, these are all the stuff I planned for today for discussion. Anything else, any topics that you want to bring up maybe? I'll take that as a no. So I think it is time to wrap up, and thank you very much everyone for being here, and I hope to have a Impy would like a rage quit counter. Yes, I can't make any promises about that. So thanks for being here. It has been a pleasure, and I hope to have you in the future as well. I'm ending the stream in a minute, and goodbye.
Okay, take care, everyone. Everybody, good luck at SSCAIT. We'll see who wins here in a little bit.
Yeah, good luck, everyone, and thanks for having me, even though I'm late.
Yes, thanks for having me.
Thank you very much for listening. If you did so on YouTube, please throw us a like and maybe a subscribe. If you want to support the show, go to patreon.com/mcdt. Shout out to my patrons so far, plus Nielsen and James Schubeck. Thanks again and goodbye.